Welcome, everybody, to U.S. Home Talk. Thanks for joining us here. We're live every Wednesday, noon Central Standard Time. I got a fresh haircut, and I'm ready to do this show. We talk about real estate. We talk about mortgages. We answer your questions live on air. We take your comments and questions through Facebook Live during our show, and we answer them and comment about them while we're talking. If you have not reached us before, we are based in the upper Midwest. Two of us in the Minneapolis area, one in Sioux Falls, South Dakota area. And again, we talk about real estate, mortgages, all the current events in the industries. Joining the show with me, as always, is Jason Walgrave with RE/MAX Advantage Plus and the Walgrave Real Estate Group. And we have Marcus Walgrave as well with the South Dakota Home Team, powered by Hegg Realtors. He is out there in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Jason and I are up here in the Twin City area of Minnesota. Okay, fellas, what are we talking about today? It's something super exciting.
Oh, it's so exciting. People are talking about it, though. They're talking about it.
We're talking about it. You're going to see it on the news. That's why we're talking about it, because you're going to be seeing stuff, right? You're going to be seeing stuff in the news about our topic today. We're going to talk about my favorite topic, mortgage interest rates. Okay.
Yes.
Everyone's like, yeah. Sit down, grab a box of popcorn here, a bowl of popcorn. Here we go.
Some tater tots.
Some tater tots?
Yeah. Napoleon Dynamite. Yes.
Just put them in your pocket, pull them out one by one. If you want to get a hold of us, by the way, I didn't mention that. If you want to get a hold of us at any time during the week, ushometalk.com is the best place to get a hold of us. All of our contact info is there. We got reports on buying and selling. We got previous shows on there. We have all the fun stuff there. So ushometalk.com. Connect with us there anytime during the week. Okay, so the news that you are seeing about mortgage rates recently is going to be what? What just happened last week?
Feds cut the rates, so that must mean that mortgage rates just plummeted.
Right? I don't know how many calls I fielded saying, you know what? What would my rate be today now that the feds have cut interest rates again?
It's probably more than it was yesterday.
I said, well,
yeah,
it's higher than it was before they cut rates. And everyone's like, what am I missing? I'm seeing all over the news. What am I missing here? They just lowered rates. Okay. One of the biggest misconceptions out there. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. The Fed's funds rate is what it's called, is independent from mortgage rates. They're different. The Feds do not have control over mortgage rates. The Feds have control over what's termed as short-term rates. Okay. Rates that either are fully adjustable month after month, or rates that have a really short fixed period and then go adjustable after that. So home equity lines of credit, right? Those rates went down because the Feds lowered rates. Credit card interest rates, auto loans, things like that. Those types of loans did go down when the Feds lowered the rate. Now,
HELOCs.
Yep.
Yeah,
HELOCs went down. So some mortgage financing, right? HELOCs, they went down. Okay. But what went up? Long-term rates went up. Again, so when short-term rates come down, short-term rates and long-term rates are typically inverse from each other. So when one goes down, the other goes up. So mortgage rates, like a 30-year fix, that's a long-term rate, that went up because the Feds lowered rates. So if you look at the last 10 times that the Feds have lowered their Feds funds rate, mortgage rates have gone up immediately afterwards. Now, they lowered them a quarter. The Feds lowered their rate by a quarter. Mortgages went up by roughly an eighth to a quarter, somewhere in there, right? So it's not a huge drastic change. And eventually, does a lower Fed rate equal lower mortgage rates? Yes, typically. But you're talking 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the road after the Feds lower their rate. Does that actually impact mortgage rates, and then mortgage rates follow?
Sure.
I feel like Jerome Powell, when they did their first rate reduction, but was it a month ago?
Yes.
Yeah, he kind of commented on it. I feel like, was taking a lot of questions or heat or whatever the case might be in. And I think his quote was that that the stock market has already baked that in. And to your point, Mike, right? Like when they actually do make the cut, then there's you're not going to see it come. The mortgage rates come, the long-term mortgage rates come down because it's already accounted for because the Federal Reserve was hinting that they were going to do it 2 weeks prior.
Right. It's been no surprise, right? You even go back 2 months. It was no surprise that the Feds were going to lower rates in September when they met. And it was no surprise that they were going to lower them here at the end of October either. Everyone knew that was going to happen. What would really have been a surprise if they would have came out and raised rates, right? That would have been like, whoa, what? And then you would have seen markets go crazy and who knows what. But they basically played their hand a couple months ago, telling them that this is what we're going to plan on doing here. And sure enough, it happened. And so a lot of markets already had that baked in, like you mentioned, Marcus.
Or Mike, you kind of said the extreme of if they raised rates. If they just didn't cut them, I think then that, we would have seen also quite a bit of turmoil in a situation like that where they were hinting that they were going to do it, and then ultimately they didn't do it, and they just left them where they were at. Then I think that would have caused some turmoil as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's just the biggest thing I want to get across, because we're going to see it come up in the future, right? They're talking about doing a couple rate drops maybe next year, right? And we're going to same cycle. Oh, they're going to drop rates. I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait to whatever. And then all of a sudden 2 days after they drop rates, I get a call and it's like, okay, what would my rate be today? Cause they just dropped them. I'm like, oh, it went up a quarter. What? What are you talking about? So, but it happens every single time.
I think the important point to get across is, in addition to what we're talking about, is really the cost of waiting. And it's, we have so many people, when rates are, when they're 6.25, people are, I'm going to wait till they're 5.5, or at least 5.99, and then they get into the fives, and then it's, it gets to 4.999. Then I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, or they're waiting for a 0.5 point drop or whatever the case is. But the appreciation has continued pretty steadily for the last decade, through recessions and through COVID and through high interest rates that were, 8, they were teasing 8.25, for a few days. This is a couple of falls ago now, but and guess what? The values continue to go up in most markets, on average about 4%. In some neighborhoods a lot more. And so that that idea of I'm going to wait till the rate gets to a certain point or gets low enough to whatever my number is, it's probably going to cost you a lot of money. And so the best time to buy real estate is yesterday. If you wait, statistically and historically speaking, you're gonna have to pay more. You're gonna pay more next spring. You're gonna have to pay more next fall. If you go back, what did we look at that 80-year chart a couple months ago? There's only 2 times in history that home values have gone down in the United States. And so the one was the 07-08 crash, which I don't believe we'll ever see again. And so I think it's a really good bet. It's a strategic guess that home values are going to continue to go up. So if you wait, you're going to pay more. You can refinance if the rates go down. You can refinance as many times as you want to. So let's say the rates go down a 0.5 point and you pick it up on refinance, and they go down another 0.5 point. I think that's also sometimes because I saw a comment this past week and about someone, they thought they could only refinance one time. And no, you can refinance as many times as you want. There's a cost to it, of course, but if the rate drop it makes sense when Mike runs the numbers. I'm sure you've got clients that you've refinanced 3-4 times on their property or on their loan.
Absolutely. Yeah. If it makes sense, it makes sense. Numbers don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other thing we're talking about too here is the rate forecast, right? Because part of our discussion was, okay, getting the whole Fed's rate doesn't equal mortgage rates, right? One can go up, the other one can go down. They're independent from each other. That was the first point to make here. The second point that I wanted to make today was I don't think it's going to be worth waiting. Because waiting for a certain interest rate to come around has never worked in history, right? If your whole real estate, house buying goal is I'm going to wait for X rate because then I can afford it, or whatever the thought process is there. That's just never worked in history. You won't time it right. It'll just never work. And you're just going to be wasting time, and you're going to be spending more money to buy a house down the road than you would be spending today. So the other thing to look at is, okay, what's the rate prediction? What are mortgage rates going to be doing here over the next few years? So can you guys see my screen right now? No. Okay.
No, but I think I can pull it up here. Hold on. Add the stage. Hold on. There we go.
So I did pull up that chart here that we were talking about earlier that Jason was saying about home appreciation in the different years.
Yep.
This is that chart here that you guys can see there. So in 1990, right, we pulled back a little bit as far as home values go. And then, through the crash, we pulled back as well. But those are the only 2 times since 1942.
Dang.
Right? Since 1942 that homes have depreciated in value. That's
over 80 years. Holy smokes.
It's wild, right? So let's look at mortgage rate predictions, right? So if you're still in the I think rates are going to come down. I'm going to wait. I'm waiting for a certain rate to come, whatever the case may be. All right. So if I just Google, right? I just went to the Google machine. I said interest rate forecast for mortgages. Okay. So this is what it says. Mortgage rates are expected to remain above 6% through 2025 with a downward trend predicted for 2026. Forecasts from organizations like the Mortgage Bankers Association and Fannie Mae predicts rates will be in the mid-6 range for most of 2025, which that was probably true. Most of 2025, probably in the mid-6 range, and could drop around 6.3% by the end of the year, which we're basically there right now, right? Fannie Mae is forecasting further decrease to 5.9% by the end of 2026. Most of the people that I am
say that again, Mike.
So it said Fannie Mae is forecasting that rates will hit 5.9% by the end of 2026.
End of 26. Yep.
End of 26. Okay. Most of the people that I'm locking in today are anywhere between 5.99 and 6.25. That would be a bulk of the loans that I'm locking today, interest rates today. So if you're waiting for a 5.9 rate, which maybe you can get today depending on credit score and such, but maybe you can't. Maybe you're at 6.25, but you're waiting for a 5.99 rate, and you're going to have to wait until next November or December in order to get that particular rate. Okay, how much are you really saving by saving yourself 0.25% interest versus how much more you're going to pay for that same house a year from now?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a $500,000 house, you're going to pay $20,000 more, at least, right? If you look at historical data. So then, what's the difference in your payment? And I know you're running it right now, Mike, going from 6.25 to 5.9. What is that? I mean, it's got to be what, $50 maybe?
So we're looking at $24.62 versus $23.98. $24.62 versus $23.98, $64.
Yeah, so about 60. Yeah.
Times 12. Recuperate that 20 grand.
Yep. Times 12. You say, whole year, and that's less than $1,000. So you're going to save $1,000, but it's going to cost you 20 more. Right?
$744 a year. Right. So I'm going to wait to buy that house. Because I'm willing to pay $20,000 more for that same house, so I can save $744 a year because my interest rate is going to be lower.
Yep. I think that's
I think even if you wanted to play the long game, right? Okay, well, where is the break even point? I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but just
26 years.
It's got to be 15. Yeah, 26 years. So 26 years at that point, that's when you're. But then you only got 4 years remaining on your loan, right?
Right, but it's going to appreciate 4% every year over year, right?
Well, you're missing that part, right?
Yeah.
I mean that 1 year where you could have bought and owned and appreciated,
right?
That you're losing out on those dollars as well,
right? So it just doesn't make sense.
Nope,
doesn't make sense.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say especially doesn't make sense because you can change your rate in the future.
Right.
So let's say you're at 6.25 today. So you buy that house at 6.25 today, and rates go down to 5.5 or 5.25 or 5%, which no one's predicting that they'll even get down to 5% in the next 5 years, by the way. Yep. We'll cover that in here a little bit more in a little bit. But right, let's say they do. Let's say you buy it at 6.25 today, and 3 years or 4 years from now, rates happen to get to 5% flat. Well, great. Refinance at 5%.
Right.
Now you just saved yourself $20,000 on the house 5 years ago when you originally bought it. Yep. And now you're getting the 5% rate that you always wanted.
Yep.
Winner.
Pork chop dinner.
No, chicken dinner.
What were you going to say there, Marcus? You had a thought.
Oh, I would just, Jason made this comment about that he just didn't feel like we were ever going to be in this position where we're going to have a great recession and a housing market crash, right? And what was one of the big things that happened, the perfect storm? Inventory prior to that event was at near all-time highs. Then the event happened, and then the market got flooded with even more inventory with foreclosures. So at the tail end of it, it was this incredible inventory of homes. We do not have an incredible inventory of homes.
Right.
And there aren't a lot of signs that are pointing, saying, hey, we're going to have a large influx of foreclosures. And we definitely don't have a lot of signs of saying, hey, we're going to have a large influx of new construction. So if we can't solve this supply and demand topic with inventory, then that's why you can be confident in that forecast of saying homes are going to be worth more year over year for many years to come.
Yeah, just simple supply and demand. You're absolutely right, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm looking at interest rate forecast here. The lowest that anyone is predicting. So Fannie Mae is part of this, Mortgage Bankers Association, National Association of Realtors, Wells Fargo throws their hat in the ring on this one.
Ooh.
The lowest that anyone is predicting that rates will go between now and the end of 2027 is 5.9%. And they're predicting that to happen at the end of 2026. So they're actually predicting rates to go up from 2026 to 2027.
I'm predicting they're going to go to 5.5.
Okay.
You owe us $2 bills.
No.
Yes, you do.
I just added on this one conventional. Before I just said 5.5. And VA and FHA were at 5.5
with a buy down.
No buy down, no buy down. But this time I'm saying conventional because we know FHA, VA are generally a half point ish less than conventional. So I'm throwing it out there this time. This is a bold prediction, folks. 5.5 is going to happen in 2026.
When do you think it's going to happen in 2026? Because I don't think. Unless it's going to happen right away,
somewhere between January and December.
Well, that's good.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to make this one an official prediction, but I think it's going to happen first quarter.
If it were to happen, I would agree with you. I think maybe in the month of February, we see that, but.
So when it goes at 5.5, what are you guys gonna do? What are you gonna do for me? What's on the table here? Like lunch or something, or maybe like Subway, or what are we gonna get?
High five. I'll give you a high five.
Good job, Jason. You're so smart.
We'll just remind you that you were wrong in the previous.
Yeah.
So you're even if you get this one right.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So
hey, unless you're military, then it's just once.
Finish this once. Yeah, so it's just interesting here. You gotta it's the whole waiting game. When we talk about the waiting game, how many times we talk about this? A week almost. Yeah. It's like weekly, monthly. We're talking about the waiting game of how in today's market, right? Today's market where you got the supply and demand that Jason mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. We know the supply, we know the demand, we know that our supply is going to be low compared to the demand for several years to come. Pretty easy to predict that home prices will continue to go up, right? Yep. You're going to have your seasonal changes, especially up here in the upper Midwest, right? We have the seasonal deal, right? If you want to get a deal in a house, you're going to buy November, December, January, okay? You're probably going to pay more for a house in the springtime, right? March, April, May, June, right? Because that's the hottest time up here for real estate. But if you look at the same month, year after year, if you look at November, year after year after year, home prices are going to continue to go up.
Yep, agree.
And lean on your professional, right? I think that's anytime I have anybody who has these type of questions or saying, hey, I got this gut feeling I'm going to hold off on a rate. My comment to them is always align yourself with somebody who is dialed in the lending world. Reach out to somebody like Mike. They're going to be able to sit down and lay everything out in front of you, have you with charts and graphs and breakdowns of how much this is going to cost to wait, what's the forecasting, etc. They're going to keep you dialed in and posted, and then also lean on your real estate professional too, because every market's a little different, right? I mean, we're talking in general the real estate market here in the U.S., but there's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be those ones where inventory is spiking. Like we talked about that earlier in the Sun Belt, the 55 plus developments. There seemed to be an increase of that type of inventory. And so, if you're serious about real estate, about buying, selling, investing, just align yourself with the professionals and, have that team support so you don't make big mistakes.
Nice PSA, Marcus. I like it. That was good.
That was good.
Nice PSA there.
Good job.
Toot, toot.
Well, I hope we. Oh, that's funny. I love it.
What a way to
You
end
know
it.
what? Speaking of that, you know what? We're gonna get the Yoda. We're gonna get Yoda on the show with us. He's living in that Arizona market. We'll get his comments maybe next week. We'll get him on here. But we appreciate everyone tuning in. If you got questions for us, if you want to connect with us, reach out to us at ushometalk.com. It's available 24/7. Again, ushometalk.com. On behalf of Jason and Marcus, I'm Mike Overs, Illuminate Bank. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys.